As we begin, we will start with honoring Jill Dinwiddie. Jill Dinwiddie fought for women's rights and to help us see the dignity in others, regardless of class, color, culture, or faith. Her curiosity about the world beyond her own came from her mother, who was always engaged in the community. Jill's heart and mind were further broadened by her family hosting a Swedish exchange student, then spending 4 months of her junior year in high school as an American field service exchange student in Turkey. She lived with a Muslim family and learned to appreciate another culture and experience that shaped what was to come. Some of Jill's job titles included Director of the International Center at UNC Chapel Hill and the University of Texas, Vice President of Public Policy for the Association of International Educators, Director of Senator Dianne Feinstein's Northern California office, and Executive Director of the North Carolina Council for Women. She cared deeply about access to reproductive health care, accurate sex education, curbing domestic violence, and electing women to public office. Today, as we celebrate Jill, we will hear more about her accomplishments and all of the beautiful ways that she showed up in the world through a story that was shared with me from her dear friend, Jenny Ward. Honoring the strength and courage of Jill Dinwiddie and sharing the story of Jenny and Jill, we make space for Frances Bendert.
I am Jenny Ward, and Jill Dinwiddie was one of the strongest and most beautiful women I've ever known. It was about 12 years ago when Beverly Perdue was running for governor of North Carolina. First woman governor. I met Jill then. We were introduced by another fabulous woman in my life in this community, Shannon Mcfadden. Jill was responsible for the campaign in Charlotte to get women behind Beverly Perdue's run for governor. So I met her in that capacity, and I knew from the start, this is a woman who gets stuff done. My first meeting with her, she was direct, she was focused. She said something to me that day that it just stuck with me. She said, I don't have a lot of time left in this world, and the stuff I want to get done, I'm going to get it done. I was so impressed. She was so focused, and it drew me in. And that's a quality that Jill had around anything that was a priority she thought that the community and the people just needed to know about. She really worked to get women elected. She knew when women held public office, things would be better for the community. We have different perspectives as mothers, as sisters, as aunts, just by being a woman, thinking differently. And she stood in that. I mean, the list is long. Alma Adams, Vi Lyles, Julie Isolt, Kay Hagan, the list goes on and on of women she personally supported and just drew people to and said, you know, this woman needs to be in office. She ran the campaigns. She got people to care, and she helped put these women on the map. After that, we became friends. I lost my mother when I was 21. I'm 50 now. So meeting a woman like Jill at a stage in my life where I had young children and I was working full time, it was really special. She was like a mother. She was a mentor. She was a friend. She was a grandmother to our children. She and her husband, essentially, they became adoptive parents. It was unique. We had this really special relationship where our passions just aligned around the same issues. Like, you know, she helped me identify what was important to me, and I would run with it with her. We had this complementary relationship that just worked. After Beverly Perdue became governor, she appointed Jill, who was then retired, by the way. She was like 60 at that point, and she appointed her to run the North Carolina Council for Women as the director. Of course, Jill said yes. She was commuting back and forth from Raleigh to Charlotte. She had an older husband. She had a staff and a budget. She ran right into that, and she did a great job. You know, it's funny because this time around, she was consulting with me. She hadn't, done any of this in a while. So I helped her, with the figuring out of her team and the structure. And, after that, they had, been there for a while. They had a board, an appointee board. I was asked to join the board and was appointed by the governor. I later chaired the board. So here we are. We're working on domestic violence. We came across this ancient document from the North Carolina Council for Women. It was a statute. Within the statute, it basically outlined the purpose of this council. You shall run a public awareness campaign funded to bring this issue to the community. It had never been done because no one could ever pay for it. The public dollars, they weren't there. It was 12 years ago. And domestic violence was a very taboo subject. No one wanted to touch it from the private sector with any kind of a funding perspective. But Jill and I decided not to let that stop us. We used our connections in Charlotte and created a statewide campaign called the Enough Campaign. And we got Jennifer Appleby from Ray Ward to partner with us. We put together a committee of judges and people we thought could bring something into this. And then this is Jill's gift. Here's a community issue nobody wants to talk about. Oh, let's tackle it. Let's get it done. We raised over $300,000 from corporations and individuals. We thought, we're going to run this campaign. We're going to do it like the teen smoking campaign. We're going to get companies to buy into this because guess what? They have employees and family members that are impacted by domestic violence. I mean, they aren't talking about it because no one wants to talk about it, but it's happening and we're going to get them involved. Jill and I, banging on doors. People were like, what? Domestic violence? Why would we want to get involved in that? But we didn't stop. No, we did that for several years and it was successful. It got copied and mimicked in all of the markets in North Carolina. And then Ron Kimball lost his daughter. She was killed due to partner violence. So he and Jan developed the Jamie Kimball Foundation in her honor. Jill and I decided not to turn the Enough campaign into a nonprofit. So we sat down with the Foundation for the Carolinas and merged the groups. The Enough campaign became a program of the Jamie Kimball Foundation. Jill and I served on the board and got it off the ground. She also got me involved in Planned Parenthood. Jill and I talking again about a non-popular subject in the community. I mean, it was very polarizing. So we thought, all right, we're going to take this a different angle to the approach of the topic of reproductive health. We decided to get people together to talk about it. We planned a community event called the Reproductive Health Forum. We recruited Jennifer Roberts, who was mayor at the time, Judy Schildner with Temple Bethel, and Dr. Ophelia Garman Brown. And faith leaders, community leaders, and health leaders all in the same space to have an important and, difficult conversation. We started to register this with the community. Okay, so you may not agree with abortion, and that's your choice, but you have got to understand that access is important. You've got to understand the bigger picture of reproductive health, and that it starts with education. It starts with access. It starts with affordable health care for women. We didn't stop there. Jill, as well as myself, served on the board for Planned Parenthood regionally. Jill helped with the onboarding of the new CEO, Jenny Black. Jill helped with the Planned Parenthood merger here and embarked on a capital campaign for a new health center in Charlotte. Jill led that with Crandall Bowles and Linda Hudson. It was, well, I was part of that committee as well. And that work with Planned Parenthood and that healthcare center is one of her major legacies. Jill had a way of bringing people around issues that they did not want to talk about. She had a way about her that it created space for people. She made you feel like you could join in, if you could just be a part of something bigger than yourself. And it felt innovative. It felt entrepreneurial because it was. From leading on opportunity to Planned Parenthood, to elections and campaigns, and to her commitment to the arts, she had her hand and her heart in work for this community that mattered. It was magical. She was just magical. And in her final days, she was still talking about domestic violence and women's reproductive health and how proud she was that we were able to move the needle. Jill was a very strong woman. She was not someone who had it easy. She shared stories with me about the moments when things were tough. She was a single mother. She raised 2 daughters. She was just a really strong woman. She knew that you have to create your happiness for yourself. You have to find out what your niche is, and you have to build and work towards your goals. You have to be bold about it. Jill was bold. I mean, she wasn't brash. She was bold and thoughtful. She exuded that. That was her power. When Jill called us, the answer was always yes. Yes. When Jill calls, you say yes because you know she was calling for something that mattered. She was on a mission to make other women stronger and the community stronger. And she knew that she was doing that, and she kept running with it. She was just bringing people to her army. Jill Dinwiddie gave me the permission to lead with courage, to lead boldly, to lead with honor. Don't apologize. Don't let rejection get you down. Don't let anyone strip you of your power. Don't let your internal voice take you down. Jill Dinwiddie was a coach and a mentor and a cheerleader. She would mentor young women too, and women, they need cheerleaders like that. We need people to validate us. We need people to hold us up and show us a way and just let us thrive. It's always other women like Jill. Jill Dinwiddie, strong women. May we know them. May we be them. May we raise them.